You don't become fluent by wishing, become fluent by doing. Step 1, listen daily. Train your ear like a weapon. Step 2, speak, even if it's ugly. Confidence beats perfection. Step 3, learn powerful words, not useless grammar rules. Step 4, think in English, no translation, no hesitation. Step 5, repeat until it's automatic. Most people quit early. You won't. Discipline creates fluency. Speak like you mean it, or stay silent forever. Listening daily is the foundation of fluency because your brain needs constant exposure to the rhythm, tone, and structure of real English. When you listen every day, you begin to recognize patterns without forcing yourself to memorize rules. Your mind starts predicting words, understanding accents, and catching meaning even when you don't know every single word. This is how natural language acquisition works. You are not translating anymore. You are absorbing. Start with simple content, but stay consistent. It's not about difficulty. It's about repetition. Listen to conversations, podcasts, interviews, or even short videos. Focus on how people actually speak, not how textbooks tell you to speak. Real English is fast, connected, and sometimes messy. Daily listening trains you to handle that reality. At first, it will feel overwhelming. You will miss words, lose track, and feel confused. That is part of the process, not a failure. Your goal is not to understand everything immediately. Your goal is to stay engaged and keep exposing your brain to the sound of the language. Over time, your comprehension will grow naturally. Words you heard yesterday will start making sense today. Sentences that sounded confusing will become clear. This is progress happening quietly in the background. Use repetition as a weapon. Listen to the same audio multiple times. The first time, you might catch only a few words. The second time, you understand more. The third time, you begin to follow the full message. This builds confidence and sharpens your listening ability. You are training your brain to process English faster and more efficiently. Pay attention to pronunciation and intonation. Notice how native speakers stress certain words, how they connect sounds, and how their voice rises and falls. This is not just listening, it is studying without pressure. Your speaking will improve automatically because your brain is copying what it hears. Strong listeners become strong speakers. Make listening a daily habit, not something you do only when you feel motivated. Discipline matters more than motivation. Even 15 to 30 minutes every day is powerful if you stay consistent. Turn passive time into learning time. Listen while walking, traveling, or relaxing. The more you surround yourself with English, the faster it becomes familiar. Avoid the trap of overthinking. You don't need to pause every second or translate every sentence. Let the language flow. Trust the process. Your brain is designed to learn languages through exposure. The more you listen, the more natural it becomes. Over time, English stops feeling like a foreign language and starts feeling like a tool you can use without effort. Speaking without fear is where real progress begins, because hesitation kills fluency before it even has a chance to grow. Most people stay stuck, not because they lack knowledge, but because they are afraid of making mistakes. That fear creates silence, and silence blocks improvement. When you decide to speak anyway, even if your sentences are broken or your pronunciation isn't perfect, you unlock the path forward. Confidence comes from action, not from waiting until you feel ready. Your first conversations will feel uncomfortable. You might forget words, mix up grammar, or pause too long. That is normal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is expression. Focus on getting your message across. Communication matters more than correctness. Every time you speak, you train your brain to organize thoughts in English faster. You reduce hesitation, and you build momentum. Mistakes are not something to avoid. They are something to use. Each mistake shows you what needs improvement. If you stay silent, you never discover those gaps. Speaking exposes your weaknesses, but it also gives you the chance to fix them. This is how growth happens. People who improve quickly are not the ones who avoid errors. They are the ones who make them openly and keep going. Stop worrying about how others judge you. Most people are focused on themselves, not analyzing your every word. Even if someone notices your mistakes, it doesn't matter. You are learning, and learning requires risk. Strong speakers are not the ones who never fail, they are the ones who keep talking despite failure. That mindset separates progress from stagnation. Practice speaking as often as possible. Talk to yourself. Describe what you see. Explain your thoughts out loud. This builds fluency in a safe environment. When you speak to others, keep it simple. Use the words you know and expand gradually. You don't need complex sentences to communicate effectively. Clarity and confidence are more powerful than complicated language. Speed matters, but clarity matters more. Don't rush to sound advanced. Speak at a pace where you can think and express yourself clearly. Over time, your speed will naturally increase. As your confidence grows, your hesitation will shrink. Words will come faster. Sentences will flow better, and conversations will feel easier. Fear is just a barrier created by overthinking. The moment you start speaking, that barrier weakens. The more you repeat this process, the smaller it becomes. Eventually, speaking English feels normal, not stressful. You stop translating in your head and start responding naturally. This is the result of consistent, fearless practice. Learning powerful vocabulary means focusing on words that actually give you control in real conversations, not random lists that you forget after a day. Most learners waste time memorizing complicated or rare words that they never use. That doesn't build fluency. What builds fluency is learning words that are common, useful, and flexible. Words that help you express opinions, describe situations, and react quickly. Start by choosing high-impact words. These are words you hear often in conversations, movies, and daily speech. Words like improve, challenge, focus, result, opportunity. These carry meaning and can be used in many contexts. When you learn one strong word, you can apply it in different situations. That's power. Instead of memorizing 10 weak words, learn a few strong ones and use them repeatedly. Doxit is everything. Don't learn vocabulary in isolation. Learn words inside sentences, inside real situations. When you understand how a word is used, you remember it longer. Your brain connects the word to meaning, emotion, and usage. This makes it easier to recall when you need it. Reading and listening daily will naturally expose you to useful vocabulary and context. Repetition turns vocabulary into instinct. Seeing a word once is not enough. You need to see it, hear it, and use it multiple times. Write it down, say it out loud, use it in your own sentences. The more you interact with a word, the stronger it becomes in your memory. Eventually, you don't think about it, you just use it. Focus on phrases, not just single words. Real communication is built on chunks of language. Phrases like, on the other hand, at the same time, it depends on make your speech sound natural and fluent. These combinations give you structure and flow. When you use them, you don't have to build sentences from zero every time, but weak words with stronger ones. Instead of always saying, very good, use excellent. Instead of very big, use massive. This upgrade makes your speech more precise and more impactful. It also trains your brain to think in a richer way. Small changes in vocabulary create a big difference in how you sound. Use new words immediately. Don't wait until you feel ready. The moment you learn a word, put it into practice. Speak it, write it, include it in conversations. This active use locks it into your memory. Passive learning fades quickly, but active use makes vocabulary stick. Consistency is what builds a powerful vocabulary. Learn a few words every day and keep using them. Over time, your word bank grows naturally. You don't need thousands of words to sound fluent. You need the right words, used with confidence and clarity. Thinking in English is the turning point where fluency starts to feel natural instead of forced. As long as you translate every sentence from your native language, you will always be slower, more hesitant, and less confident. Translation creates delay. It traps your mind between two systems. When you think directly in English, you remove that barrier and your thoughts begin to flow without interruption. Start simple. Don't try to think complex ideas immediately. Begin with basic thoughts about your daily life. Describe what you are doing, what you see, what you plan to do next. I am walking. I need to finish this. This is interesting. These small sentences train your brain to operate in English without pressure. The goal is consistency, not complexity. Your environment can help you build this habit. Label objects in your mind using English words. When you see a chair, say chair in your head, not the word from your native language. When you pick up your phone, think phone. This creates direct connections between objects and English words. Over time, these connections become automatic. Stop relying on translation as a safety tool. It feels comfortable, but it slows you down. When you don't know a word, don't switch languages immediately. Try to explain the idea using words you already know. This forces your brain to stay inside English and become more flexible. You learn how to communicate even with limited vocabulary, which is a key skill in real conversations. Listening plays a big role here. The more English you hear, the more natural your internal thinking becomes. Your brain starts copying sentence structures, common phrases, and patterns. Without realizing it, you begin to think in those same patterns. This is why daily exposure is important. It feeds your internal voice. Talking to yourself is a powerful method. Think out loud when possible. Describe situations, explain your opinions, or even argue both sides of a topic in English. This strengthens your ability to organize thoughts quickly. It also prepares you for real conversations because you are already practicing responses. At first, thinking in English will feel slow and unnatural. You might struggle to form even simple sentences. That's part of the process. Stay consistent. With time, your brain adapts. The delay disappears and your thoughts become faster and clearer. You stop searching for words and start expressing ideas directly. This shift changes everything. When you think in English, speaking becomes easier, listening becomes clearer, and communication becomes smoother. You are no longer translating, you are operating inside the language itself. Repeating consistently is what turns effort into automatic skill, because your brain doesn't learn through intensity. It learns through frequency. Doing something once or twice won't change you, but doing it every day builds patterns that become permanent. Fluency is not built in long, rare sessions. It is built in short, repeated actions that stack over time. When you repeat daily, you train your mind to recognize, recall, and use English without hesitation. Most people fail because they rely on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel strong, other days you don't want to do anything. If you only practice when you feel like it, your progress will always be unstable. Discipline solves this problem. You show up no matter what. Even when you're tired, even when you're busy, you still do something. That consistency keeps your brain engaged with the language. Repetition strengthens memory. Every time you hear a word, speak a sentence, or review a phrase, you reinforce neural connections in your brain. The first time you learn something, it feels weak and unclear. After repeating it multiple times, it becomes familiar. After even more repetition, it becomes automatic. This is how you move from thinking to reacting. You don't want to pause and search for words. You want them ready instantly. Keep your practice simple but regular. You don't need complicated routines. Listen, speak, read, and think in English every day, even for a short time. 10 to 20 minutes done daily is more powerful than hours done once a week. The key is to avoid long breaks. When you stop for days, your brain starts to forget and lose rhythm. When you stay consistent, you maintain momentum, use repetition with purpose. Don't just repeat randomly. Focus on useful content. Go back to the same audio, the same phrases, the same conversations, and work through them again. Each repetition reveals something new. You notice details you missed before. Your understanding becomes deeper and your confidence grows. Track your habits. not just your results. Instead of asking, am I fluent yet? Ask, did I practice today? Results come from consistent action. When you focus on the process, improvement happens naturally. Small daily wins build into big progress over time. Avoid the trap of doing too much at once and then quitting. Start at a level you can sustain. Build a routine that fits your life. Once it becomes a habit, you can increase the intensity. Consistency first, intensity later. This approach keeps you moving forward without burnout. Repetition removes hesitation. The more you repeat, the less you think, and the more you act. English stops feeling difficult because your brain has seen and used the same patterns again and again. What was once hard becomes normal through steady. Disciplined repetition, ignoring perfection, is necessary because chasing it will slow you down more than any mistake ever could. When you aim to speak perfectly, you hesitate, you overthink, and you stay silent longer than you should. That silence is the real problem. Progress comes from action, not from waiting until everything sounds flawless. Perfection is not the starting point. It is the byproduct of consistent practice. When you speak, your goal is communication, not perfection. If people understand you, you are already succeeding. Small grammar errors or imperfect pronunciation do not destroy your message. In real conversations, even native speakers make mistakes, pause, and correct themselves. Language is not a performance, it is a tool. Use it, even if it feels rough. Perfectionism creates pressure. That pressure makes your brain freeze. You start thinking about rules instead of ideas, about correctness instead of meaning. This breaks your flow. When you ignore perfection, you remove that pressure. You allow yourself to speak freely, and that freedom builds confidence. Confidence leads to more practice, and more practice leads to improvement. Mistakes are part of the process. Each error shows you where you need to improve. If you avoid speaking because you don't want to make mistakes, you lose the chance to learn. When you accept mistakes, you turn them into lessons. Over time, the same mistakes appear less often because you have faced them directly. Focus on clarity instead of correctness. Speak in a way that gets your point across clearly. Use simple sentences if needed. Strong communication does not require complex grammar. It requires confidence and understanding. As your skills grow, your accuracy will improve naturally. You don't need to force it. Let go of the idea that you must sound like a native speaker immediately. That expectation is unrealistic and unnecessary. Your accent, your style, your pace, these will develop over time. What matters now is that you keep speaking and keep improving. Trying to sound perfect too early only blocks your progress. Speed up your thinking by accepting imperfection. When you stop checking every word in your mind, your responses become faster. Conversations start to feel smoother. You react instead of analyzing. This is how fluency develops. It's not about perfect sentences. It's about continuous flow. Give yourself permission to be imperfect every day. Speak, make errors, adjust, and keep moving. Over time, those imperfect attempts build strong, natural fluency. Staying disciplined is what separates people who talk about fluency from those who actually achieve it. Talent doesn't matter if you don't show up. Motivation fades fast, but discipline keeps you moving when you don't feel like it. You won't always be excited to practice, and that's exactly when discipline becomes powerful. It forces action without waiting for the perfect mood. Build a routine that is simple and repeatable. You don't need long, complicated study sessions. You need a system you can follow every single day. Even a short, focused practice is enough if it's consistent. When you decide a fixed time to practice, you remove excuses. It becomes part of your day, like eating or sleeping. No negotiation, no delay. Discipline means doing the work even when progress feels slow. There will be days when you don't notice improvement. You might feel stuck or frustrated. That doesn't mean you are failing. It means your brain is still processing and building connections. Results don't always show immediately, but consistent effort guarantees progress over time. Control your environment to support your discipline. Reduce distractions when you practice. Keep your learning tools ready. Make it easy to start and hard to avoid. If your environment supports your habit, you don't have to rely on willpower alone. You create a system where practice becomes automatic. Track your actions, not your feelings. Don't ask yourself if you feel motivated. Ask if you completed your daily practice. Discipline is about execution, not emotion. When you measure consistency, you stay accountable. Small daily wins build confidence and momentum. Avoid extremes. Don't push too hard one day and quit the next. Balance matters. Stay steady. A moderate pace that you can maintain is stronger than intense bursts that lead to burnout. Discipline is not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day. Remind yourself why you started. Whether it's career growth, communication, or personal development, keep that reason clear. Discipline becomes easier when your purpose is strong. It gives meaning to your effort and keeps you focused when things get difficult. Over time, discipline turns effort into habit. What once felt like work becomes normal. You no longer struggle to start, you just do it. This consistency builds real fluency, not temporary progress.